G'day gang, so we've got quite an important one here. I've been trying to get to this for a while. So we've got a program that's being taught in Australian schools, being taught in kindergarten classes to 4-year-olds, and it's called the My Chinese Teacher program. Now what it's about is they communicate via Skype with a teacher in China who teaches them Mandarin and other cultural things. So I went to the myteacherprogram.org and had a look, and I'll leave links to all of this. So I found, straight off the bat, I think it's second paragraph, it says, we aim to do more than just teach students language. We're looking to make them global citizens. Global citizens, here we go. One world government, global control. So straight away alarm bells started ringing, and then I read a bit further and I see that they're actually live lessons. So it's not like a set of videos put out by Chinese to teach Chinese where they can be looked over and reviewed. It's actually live, happening in real time. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I've got a picture of, you know, these are 4-year-olds. They can't even write words in English yet, and they're teaching them Mandarin. In my mind, I've got a picture of, you know, shiny trinkets, ooh, China good, you know, this sort of shit going on. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe our kids need to learn another language. Why does it have to be Mandarin? So this is happening firsthand. Some of you will have seen my interviews with Colin. He actually sends his kids to the Swan Valley Anglican Community School. It's a private school, charges good money for tuition, and they've brought this in to his son's 4-year-old son's kindy class. So what it is it's a term where they do the Skype calls and that, but then what actually happens after I read through it a bit more is that over the year they have books that they've got to learn and everything else, and they'll do testing periodically and all this sort of stuff. So it seems like a more all year long thing, but they do the calls for 3 months and then the kids go off with their books that are provided and start learning Mandarin. I mean, it's getting harder and harder to teach kids as it is. They're turning out kids that can't even read and write and count properly, yet they think that jamming Mandarin there is something that's acceptable. So anyway, they're teaching over 25 students already across the UK, New Zealand, Australia and the US. And basically other schools that are doing it, I've found there's one in Geraldton called Francis Xavier Primary. The principal out there, Ben Doyle, he seems to think it's okay too. So then I found an ABC article, and I'll link all of this in the ABC article. They're saying that the My Chinese Teacher program is actually mandatory in WA for children in grade 3 and above. At all schools, mandatory. 439 schools or something like that. Mandatory, must learn Mandarin. So you can let me know your thoughts. St. Joseph's is another school that's doing it. And then I found an article that there was actually a program that was running prior to this, which was called the Confucius Classroom program, and that actually had Chinese appointees in our country, in our education department, working directly with this Confucius program. And some of the people that were on the board of the people, this Confucius, it's like a full-on institute or whatever it is. Some of the people on the board were questionable, and so the New South Wales has scrapped that Chinese program and is replacing it with the My Teacher program. So it seems to be one way or another the Chinese are pretty much insistent that we start running these programs mandatory in all WA schools. That's what the ABC article said. I'll leave a link. Mandatory in all WA schools. So in my eyes, this shows us that China already controls our education department. You can be damn sure of that. You know, they're using things like 5G facial rec in classrooms to see whether kids are actually learning anything from their facial expression. And you know, I don't agree with that, but they've got highly advanced teaching systems over there, yet they've made sure our education department is basically turning out a bunch of dummies. I mean, that's just the fact of it, you know. I seen a study a while ago that was done in the UK, 3,000 school children aged 16, 60% of them couldn't even read an analog clock. Couldn't even fucking tell what time it was on the clock at age 16. 60% of 3,000 kids tested across 20 different schools or something like that. What's going on here? By the time they push in all the multiculturalism, which fair enough, whatever. I mean, kids are young, do you know? 5-year-old kids, they don't care whether your skin's black, white, yellow, whatever. They don't care. So why we need all this multiculturalism jammed in there? Why we need all this Safe Schools Australia stuff, which was meant to be about bullying, which was actually taxpayer funded to 2 pedophiles, basically. That's the bottom line. The 2 people who put together the Safe Schools Australia program for bullying have said things in the past like parents and children should be free to explore their sexuality together. Children should be free to explore their sexuality at any age. If you're going to take naked selfies, don't put your face in them. This is what the Safe Schools Australia program that was meant to be to target bullying is run by people who say things like that. And actually the naked selfie thing was actually in the text teaching. I seen footage of a teacher in a grade 5 class in Melbourne trying to read it out while one of the kids was filming, and she stopped halfway through it and couldn't do it. So if this isn't enough to show people our education system is completely, and I mean completely, taken over, you know, I don't know what will do it. So leave me your thoughts anyway, and I'll leave a heap of links here, you know, 4 or 5 links just to back up everything I've said. And I don't know, tell me your thoughts. Do our kids need to learn a second language? Does it need to be Mandarin? Do they need to teach it to 4-year-olds? Does it have to be compulsory in all WA schools for grade 3 and above? Let me know.